Okay, so we're gonna do weathering powders. So I'm just gonna do the weathering powder for here. And this is gonna be like a riverbed, so we want it to look kind of earthy in that. So we're gonna take our colors and we're gonna use peat, earth, and sand, all from Huge Minis. So what you do, take a brush, any type of brush, I use the dry brushes. You dip this in, shake it off a bit, and then you're just gonna dab it into the places you want it to go. So I actually need a bigger brush for this, so we're gonna use a bigger one because I'm using bigger surface area. And you just dab it into place, smoosh it in. Just go smoosh, 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 smoosh. See, and you can mix these colors beforehand, or just do like I'm doing and just smoosh them in on top of each other like this. You can use them wet or dry. I prefer using them dry because then you can see the color that it's going to be when it dries. Okay, now we're going to switch colors. We're going to get some earth. And we're going to smoosh that in the center because we want this bit to be this color. And don't worry about if it looks like powdery and that's fine. And then I'm going to go sandier along the bank here. So smoosh, smoosh, smoosh. And I'm going to smoosh, 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 smoosh. And it's okay if you get a little extra where you don't need it. That's fine. We can go in and fix that after. And then I want to come back in with my peat. And I'm going to just go down the center here. Okay, so that's that done. Now I'm going to take a smaller brush. And I'm just going to mix in my bits here. I'm just going to swoosh it away from here a little bit because I don't want so much there. There we go. Swoosh it under the rock. And now that we have it, and we want it, and don't worry about stuff like this, like it'll smudge. It is a messy project, so make sure you do have a clean station. Next, you're going to take pigment fixer, okay? And all you're going to do, and if you don't have pigment fixer, whoops, my label came off my bottle. If you don't have pigment fixer, that's okay. You can just use straight alcohol. There we go. So we are just gonna grab, where's my fixer? I've got another fixer around here. Here we go. And make sure if you're using fixer though, you do it in a well ventilated area because fixer stinks. Okay, it is disgusting. But like I said, you can use straight alcohol. Now you're going to want to use a brush you don't care about. This is just a cheap brush and you're going to dip it in. And then you're just going to sploot, sploot, sploot. And just let the droplets, you're just going to touch it lightly and it's going to spread. Now it'll look a lot darker when it's wet versus when it dries. So you just go like this, and then this action, this is what seals it. Oh, there you go. Now, you can, while this is still wet, you can go back in with color and stick it to it. So you can, if I want to add a little bit of green into my edges, let's take some green here. Oops. Not that one. I want green. So get some green. And I just want a little bit, so I'm going to take my little brush, tap it off, and then we're just going to dab it along the edges a bit here. Just like this. And see, it's already, I don't need to add fixer to this because it's already wet, so it's sticking to the wet fixer for me. See? And that'll look like some mossy, grassy bits there that are growing. See? And that is how you use pigment fixers. and use wet dry pigments. And basically what I'm doing here, this is how you would use it wet too. You would just mix the pigment fixer with the pigment and then you would just paint it on. But again, this is how it would come out if you were doing it wet. So as you can see, it's a lot darker, but when it dries, it's going to look like this again. It's not going to be so dark. So just keep that in mind when you're doing it if you do it wet. But there you go.